Hi, welcome to WiseCat. Okay, so in today's video we're doing an upgrade. Another upgrade. Wow, 2 upgrades in, 2 weeks? Okay, but this time it's different. It's different because this one will not be smooth. And I'm going to basically hit a bunch of speed bumps. I've got sort of a booby-trapped Moodle, and I'm going to be going through all of the speed bumps that I go, well, I upgrade it from version 3.8 all the way up to 4.3. Okay, we got a long road ahead of us, so let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so the first thing that I should mention is the setup for this actual Moodle. Now, this Moodle site that I have right over here is basically just running on a local thing. I've got a little course in there, but this is actually if I go to site administration server and check out the environment, you can probably see it actually, yeah. So this is it's running on Postgres. We're not going to have to worry about that because 4.3 is okay with Postgres 13. PHP though, it's currently running on version PHP 7.4, and that is going to be an issue for us because 7.4 is not going to get up there. So we're actually going to have to upgrade already to PHP 3.4. Also, we can't go directly to 4.3 because we're starting at 3.8. So we're not going to be able to go all the way up directly. Actually, yeah, I should have done that. All right, I'm going to... oh, look at this. Another interesting thing, because this is a brand new fresh install, it only actually lets me check up to 3.11, so 3.11 upwards. And you can see, as of that, we've got one little issue here with max input vars. It's not the right one. That's one of the little booby traps. I'll be hitting that one pretty soon. And yeah, 3.11 is as far as it goes, but you can actually click this update component to actually get the version information and the requirements for the higher versions. You just have to install them, and so just clicking on that link there will install the latest information. So now you can see I've got all the way up to 4.3. So let's start planning this out. Let's say, okay, first one I want to do is perhaps go up to, well, I want to get to 4.3. What do I have to do to get to 4.3? Okay, I am going to need at least PHP version 8. Now, there's the question though, is does PHP version 8 support the version I need? Well, there is actually a page here as well, PHP policies and things like that. All of these will have links down below, but here we go. We can see 3.8 minimum version for 3.8, 3.8 PHP 7.4 can be used with 3.8.3. We can actually go as far though as Moodle 4.1 on PHP 7.4. Now, if you're using PHP 7.4, you should not be using it anymore because it was end of life a while back. And that's actually the first thing that I had here. This is actually a nice little graph that actually shows 7.4 is very much end of life, more than a year ago now. 8.0 is also end of life, but that's only about a month ago as of this recording on 3rd of January. And right now 8.1 is a good choice. 8.2 is the better choice. 8.3 is not yet supported by Moodle, but it is available as a PHP. So that's also the releases page. Actually, I don't need that one. All right. So we're going to need to upgrade this server. The server is actually Debian 11. So I've got myself a little tutorial here for how to install, and so we'll be going through that. Also, I've installed collapsed topics on this server. So there's another thing that we're going to have to be careful of, because collapsed topics will throw another little curveball in there for us. So that's good. By the way, what does collapsed topics do? I will give you a quick look at that. If I go back to my little data course, here's just a course with the collapsed topics. What it does is it makes these topics that you can collapse. Now, Boost in post 4.0 and things actually has this by default with just the topics format. the format, everything's changed, right? So it's, you no longer have these nodes and things like that on the left-hand side, and it's all a little bit different. But back in the day, if you wanted collapsible topics, you needed to install a plugin, Collapse Topics, and it's a great plugin, good stuff, lots of customizations available. Actually, a bit of a shout out to him. Afterwards, if you do actually want to run this on 4.3, there is a version, it seems, for 4.3. I have not tried it because well, we'll get to that. Okay, so I think that's about enough of the intro of where we are and where we're going. So let me go into... Sorry, I'm now finding that I'm no longer used to navigating on a Moodle 3 kind of instance. But yeah, so what I do want to do is check out my environment and see where we're going. Now, the first upgrade that we want to do, if we wanted to go up as far as, say, 4.3, we can actually go to 4.3 from 3.11. So once we've gone up above 3.11, we'd be solid on a Moodle 4. We'd be solid to go from 3.11 to 4.3. So can we get to 3.11 is the next question. Yeah, we can, except for this max input vars thing, it's going to fail. So you'll see what happens actually in a few seconds when I try to do that. So let's try to get there. Let's try to get there. We can do that with our current PHP as well, so we don't have to upgrade anything just yet. Okay, great. So let's go straight to 3.11. That's where we want to go. Okay, so let me grab a terminal up. Ooh. Okay, and through the magic of pausing the video while I actually open up my terminal that I didn't realize was not open up, it is now open up, and here I am. Okay, so I'm going to go into my Moodle directory, which is /srv/Moodle, and the www, which is right there. All right, now the first thing that I'm going to want to do is go to, well, what I do want to do is I want to do make sure that I'm fully up to date on the current version that I'm actually running. So I'm just going to go straight up with the git pull because this is a git install. If you do not know how to do git installs and things like that, have a look. I've got another video called Gitify My Moodle, and that will show you the procedures for getting into a git version of Moodle. Trust me, use Git. It's a lot easier. This is going to be a hard upgrade, but it's going to be a lot easier because of the power of Git. And it's also easier to roll back and push forward if you want to. All right. So anyway, I'm not going to worry about these messages. I don't really care. But I'm already up to date on that, so that's good. I'm solid. I'm ready to go. So the next thing I would normally do, but I'm not going to actually bother this time, but I will just go through the motions once to show you guys how to do it, and that is to put the Moodle into CLI maintenance mode. And so I would go sudo -u to switch user to www.data, and I will go admin /CLI/maintenance. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Got to have the PHP binary in there. Yeah, maintenance.php --enable. All right, and when I do that, now maintenance mode is enabled, and so if I now try to go somewhere, it'll just say, "Hey, you're in maintenance and you can't. It's not available." Okay, gotcha. So, maintenance mode enable, and the other side of that is, of course, disable. And that makes it run normally again, and that's actually how I'm going to leave this for the rest of the video, because just changing that back and forth is, you know, a little bit tedious. And this is, I know that there are no other users using this, so it's not going to get messed up. All right. So assuming that I've put my Moodle into maintenance mode, the next thing I would want to do typically is to actually take a SQL data dump. So if you're using Postgres, which this one is, you do a PG dump and get the PostgreSQL database dump completely backed up. Make sure that you're ready to go. Make sure that you have actual data in the dump and everything like that. Can't stress this enough. Take backups. Make sure that you're fully backed up, because this upgrades going forwards, it's the point of no return. You can't actually go backwards after that. Okay, so I've done my git pull, made sure that my Moodle code is up to date. There's another thing that then afterward I would want to do, and that is to come into the site administration in here and just double check, just triple check, just make sure that everything's up to date. So I would go to my plugins overview and check for available updates. And of course, when I do that, I can see I've got one additional plugin and it's up to date for the 3.8 version. Of course, I don't have the 4.3 version in because I'm not rocking 4.3 just yet. Right, so I would check that. I would click on the button actually. Another place which is good to go to is your notifications page, and you can check for available updates. And generally speaking here, although I've got a whole bunch of updates that are possible, none of them say 3.8. And that's what I want to know. I want to know that my 3.8 is the latest it can possibly be. Right? And then that'll make it easier, well, smoother for me to jump over a few, because I'm going to jump over 3.9, 3.10, and I'm going to go straight to 3.11. So let's go to 3.11. Now with Git makes this super easy. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Because all I have to do is go git check it out, Moodle, and 311 is the number that we actually want, and 311 stable. Git check it out, and that switched my code over. That's how easy it was. So easy, so great, so wonderful. Okay, so now if I go sudo dash, yeah, I think I do have the dash u and everything just before there. Yeah, so I'm just going to take this one and turn it into an upgrade PHP, and that's what we want to do. So we've got this upgrading Moodle database from 8.9 to 3.11.18. Right? Files have been changed, about to go. Let's try it. And we're off. And lots of success. Ooh, that sweet smell of success. Gotta love that success, right? It's basically just updating the database with all of the new tables and changing everything that needs to change. Oh, and by the way, that last thing before, there will be some other things. Like, there was one more announcement in the environment variables when we were checking that. It was saying the site's not HTTPS. Yeah, yours should be, especially if it's a production one. I'm using a Vagrant at the moment, which is just a local install, so that's why I didn't make TLS certificates. Anyway, that has completed successfully, and that is good. So now I should be able to reload this screen, and it should tell me 3.11. And that's what it says, 3.11.18. So I have now successfully upgraded to 3.11.18. Let's check for available updates again. And now we have 4.0, 4.1, 4.3, 4.25, and also plugins overview, because, hey, there's a plugin update available for me, and it's our collapsed topics. Now we've got a 3.11 version that we should update, and we totally should, because the older version might be a little bit buggy. Hey, you know what? Let's check it out before we do. Oh, you see I've got debugging on and stuff like that. So, yep, lots of bugs and things like that because I'm running the wrong version. You shouldn't run the wrong version. You should run the right version. So if I come in here, install available updates, this is updating my plugins. And this is actually, I usually would recommend going from, say, 3.8 to 3.9 to 3.10 to 3.11, go through each step and update your plugins every step along the way. You will have far fewer problems with plugins like that. This is still saying my PHP match input vars is recommended to be at least 5,000. Yeah, I'll take your recommendation under advisement. I'm not being cheeky. The reason why I'm ignoring that right now, it'll come up again. I know it's going to bite me in the butt. Anyway, here we go. Some default settings for the new version of Collapse Topics, and there we go. I have completed my update to 3.11. Yay! I've already just got updated 3 entire Moodle versions. Right? Now, especially if you have lots of plugins, seriously, the next one should be going to 4.0, then the next one should be going to 4.1, 4.3, and 4.2, and then 4.3. Those are out of order. Okay. Anyway, good thing I can read. Anyway, let's go back to our site administration. Let's check out our server environment now and see what we've got. And here we are, everything's all good except for this max input files, which is a recommendation. So, okay, I'll take your recommendation under advisement. So now it's 3.11. I theoretically think I can go to, as long as I upgrade my PHP, I can get all the way up to 4.3. Okay, but I tell you what, let's actually go to 4.0 and 4.1 first, okay? So let's do these things a little bit in order. 4.0 and 4.1. Yeah, 4.1 I can still get there. 4.2 I can't without a PHP upgrade. Right, so 4.1 is as far as it can go. The next one should be 4. So the next one we want to do is we're going to go 4.0. Now 4.0, they actually have the 3-digit branch numbers as well. So it's git checkout Moodle 400 stable. That's checked out. Now that's switched my code base across. By the way, if that fails or something, I can always go back by just changing this back, checking out the previous branch. All right. So now I'm going to run my upgrade.php. Caution to the wind. Let's go. We've taken our backups. We've upgraded our plugins. Let's hit it. And success. That sweet smell of success is back again. And here we go. Here we go. God, didn't I say this was going to be difficult? This is so super smooth. What is going on here? Well, wait for it. Because the next one, remember the next one that we're going up, when we go beyond 4.0 to 4.1, we're going to need to change the, 4.1 to 4.2, we're going to need to change the PHP. So that's not going to be quite as simple. But that one's rocked. That completed successfully. Yay. And it installed a few things like the big blue button plugin as well, because that's now core. So now if I come back here, I'll just let's have a look at that one there. Okay, we're getting a few little bugs coming in here and things like, oh, okay, no problem. But in here, basically, we're good with our 4.1, and the max input files is not the right number, just recommended. If we want to go up to 4.1 next, we are 4.0 and 4.1 is like that, and 4.2 is like that. Yeah, 4.2 we're definitely going to need another version there. But of course, this is what you should do if you've got, especially if you've got lots of plugins. Every time you also come into your plugins here and you check for available updates, because this is what happens. There's a little bit of a bug there, but yeah. Anyway, this is what happens because this plugin, Collapse Topics, has a different version, a different build for 3.11 sites as to 4.0 sites. And so we want to install these updates. So check your plugins overview page every single time you upgrade your Moodle. Make sure that your plugins are up to date as well. And plugins, you know, they need love, just like the rest of the Moodle. They need their love too. They need their upgrades. Plugins need upgrades, so upgrade those plugins. Okay, and we've got some more default settings in here, and this one comes in Moodle 4, and so this one's support contact. Now, I can't get away from this. I have to write in my email address there, otherwise it won't let me go forwards. Don't believe me? Now, let's check that out. I'm going to just copy it so I don't have to retype it, but save changes. Oh, support email. Yeah, I don't care. Save changes. It's required. Not allowed to say no. Okay, fine. All right. Anyway, there we are on 4.0. So we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, we can see it's 4.0 here. And up to the top, the number of newer versions is diminishing quite quickly. Plugins overview. Bang, we've got one additional plugin. There are no additional updates required. So we are good to go for upgrading to the next Moodle version. But let's have a look in it first. What are we doing? We're on 4.0. We need to go to 4.1. And yep, our checks are okay. It's still only a recommendation. Yep, I'm just going to ignore you. So let's go. Let's ignore that max input vars one. Normally, just fix it because you'll see why. Anyway, let's go to Moodle 4.01 stable, and let's see. It's still not too bad, right? Let's just check out the different branch and go up and smell the sweet smell of success. That's all we've got so far, right? This is so easy. It is so easy. Git makes upgrading easy. That is true. Until you have problems. But no, Git makes life a lot easier. So definitely we've got to, you got to use Git. You got to use Git. I mean, I know there are people I've seen recently, I was looking in the forums and someone is saying, oh, Git's too hard and things like that. No, Git is not too hard. Whatever else you're doing that's not Git, that's too hard. You're working too hard. Seriously, Git is easy. All right, so we're upgraded to 4.1 now. So now if I refresh the window, what happens? Woohoo! This is the environment page again. And now it's saying still just a recommendation. But that's for 4.1. What about 4.2? Ooh, sub-plugins. Now we got some more stuff coming up that we have to actually deal with. Actually, these two, still just a recommendation. Okay, fine. But assignment 2.2 sub-plugins may be present. The mod assignment folder and all of its sub-plugins need to be removed before upgrading. Yeah, and if you were doing this in any other way other than Git, you would perhaps be worried about that. But guess what? One of the great things about Git is I don't have to worry about that because Git will get rid of those assignment 2.2 sub-plugins before just by switching the branch. It'll get rid of them for me. So sweet, right? It's like doing all the work for me. But except for this part, because we do have to upgrade our PHP. Okay, fine. It's no longer a recommendation. Time to upgrade some PHP. So let's do that. And the way to do that is, of course, well, the best way I would suggest is just go onto Google and go find something like how to install PHP 8 on Debian 11 or something like that. This is one way of doing it. There's actually, okay, I'll slow down. There's a couple of different ways that you can do PHP upgrades. One is by just adding a PHP repository. So Andre Sury, he maintains the repository for Debian systems, and so we're going to be adding the Andre Sury's repository for PHP and using that to pull PHP from. If you're on Red Hat, I think it's like EPL or something like that. The different things. I think you probably already have that repository enabled if you're on a CentOS or an Alma Linux or something like that. But generally, the basic idea is that you've got to update the system, add a repository for PHP, and that's going to be here, as we say, it's packages.sury.org/php. That's the whole thing that we want to add. And there are so many of these lovely tutorials that just have the commands printed out for you. So find one that works. Now the thing is that a lot of these things, of course we're doing these, we're going to need root access. And this one you can see there's no sudo, there's not a sudo to be seen. And we're going to need one. For example, we're going to need a sudo t or apt-get add, that'll need sudo, and apt-get install. I actually prefer not to use get, but apt-get, I just use apt. But anyway, I'm going to use my own, actually. Do I have my own around here? I took some notes earlier. Yeah. So anyway, just grab one of these. Make sure it's, the Andre Sury repository. Don't just go get some crazy person's repository because that might get you in some hot water. But look around, Google around a bit, and you should find something like this with, say, 3 or 4 commands, and you'll be there. So let's get those 3 or 4 commands and get ourselves up. So here we go. So here is our Vagrant terminal again. All right, I might even make it a little bit wider still. Yeah, let's see, how's that looking? Okay, is that still visible to everybody? Yeah. Okay, my head's not in the way, right? All right, so in here we've just upgraded to 4.1, and what we need to do next is install our Sury. So I'm going to just basically from that web page, but my slightly adapted ones that have sudo instead, I'm just going to install those. Okay, beautiful. It's installing. It's coming in. Those are the base packages that I need to do the next command, which basically will give me, it's the exact same thing. It's just I've got a sudo in here before the T. Because to add something to this file, etc/apt/sourceslist/Sury PHP list, in order to add that file, you're going to need sudo privileges. I could just sudo su and be root and not use the sudo in there, but, well, what fun would that be? So let's do that. Whoa, wait a minute. See, this is what happens. You see, if you forget it. I forgot the sudo in that one, and this command can only be used by root. Whoops, I missed one. Yep, I make mistakes. And I could just do this as root. Now, apt-key is deprecated, so in future versions of Debian it probably won't be used. But this one it does. Debian 11. Gotta love it. Alright, and we're going to do the final command, which was just an apt update. And it's got a -y there. I don't think you need the -y, but yeah, anyway. That's updating our repositories. And now, as you can see, it says 80 packages can be upgraded and things like that. Because there are additional packages like from the Sury repository. You can actually see with the apt update, there is the line where it's getting the package information for the Sury repository here. So if you want to check to see if you've got that repository in, just do an apt update or yum update or something, and then you'll be able to see that you've got the repository enabled. But now we've got it. That means that we can actually install different versions of PHP. And Moodle requires PHP. We're using Nginx here. So we're going to need PHP and a bunch of modules, right? So FPM, zip, YAML. I mean, YAML I think is only needed if you're running, say, the stack question type. GD, so INTL, XML, RPC, etc., etc., etc. I mean, I've got a few in here that I don't really know. I don't need the MySQL one, for example, because hey, I'm using Postgres on this server. But I can now go and just say, I'm going to even skip over 8.0. I'm just going to go straight to 8.1. But the beautiful thing about the Andre repository is that you could change this to 8.2, or you could change this to 7.0 and everything. Because his repository has all of the PHP in there, you got all the PHP at your fingertips. I'm just going to go to 8.1. And so the capital Y just means I hit the enter key again and it'll start installing. And so now that is installing my PHP 8.1. Now, watch this what happens though, because we're going to check the PHP info, right? And if I come into site administration here, go to server and PHP info. Right, there it is, and it says loud and clear that I am on PHP 7.4. Well, wait for it, because this installation is about to finish. Oh, it's installing PHP 8.3 as well. Okay. Just doing that, I guess. Alright, so anyway, we got some PHP 8.3 and 8.1 in. We're not ready to use 8.3, so I hope it doesn't go over that. But let's refresh it and see what happened. Nothing changed at all. It's still saying PHP 7.4. Hey, but Adam, you just installed PHP 8.1. What gives? Well, what gives is that, remember, we're on a server and the server has not yet been told when you receive a PHP request, give it to the pool for PHP 8.1. It still thinks it should be giving it to PHP 7.4. If we look at htop, we can actually look in here, and if we filter by PHP, we can see what's happening. We've got about 6 processes running here, right? And that's because there are 3 for PHP. Ooh, that's a little bit wonky. Let's go over to the right-hand side here. You can see there's 7.4. PHP 7.4 has its processes, right? And PHP 8.1 has its processes. You see, we've got two pools are running at the moment. And that's not really an issue. If you want to have multiple PHP versions running on the same server, whatever floats your boat. But after we switch the Moodle across to PHP 8.1, we're not going to need this 7.4 anymore. We're going to want to get rid of it. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but we've got to go to our Nginx configuration, and we have to tell Nginx, don't use PHP 7.4 anymore, use 8.1, because that's where we want to be. So we're going to do that. Sudo nano, I like nano, yeah, /etc/Nginx. And then we're going to go into sites enabled, because that's where I've got my configuration there for vagrant.wisecat.net. And here it is, my basic configuration here. And in this thing, all we've got to do is look for this one here, fast CGI, pass Unix. And you see how it says 7.4 here? Well, guess what we're going to do? 8.1. That's it. Real simple. All right, so we've changed the configuration. We exit out of there, and boom, now we're done, right? No, not quite right. Whew. Because first of all, this is still running PHP 7.4. Okay, so what have we forgotten to do? Well, when you change an Nginx configuration, you have to sudo systemctl restart Nginx. Well, reload would probably do, but why not? I'm going to restart it and see what happens. See what happens there. Bang! 8.1. Now, yeah, are we awesome? We so good. We're on it, right? We're done, right? Wrong. Again, wrong. No, we're not done yet, because guess what? If you go down here and you go php-v, that is the command line version. And the command line version right now, because it also got installed, was PHP 8.3, right? We got PHP 8.3 happening, but hang on a minute. Our Moodle doesn't support PHP 8.3. This is going to get harder to say. We only support PHP 8.1, and we only want 8.1 to run. Why is this a problem? Well, remember, we got a cron job running, and that cron is calling the command line PHP. So we want to actually switch that over. And so how do we do that? Well, we do sudo update alternatives, set PHP, and user bin 8.1. Right? Do that, and now it's changed the alternative for PHP to a 8.1. So now this is no longer 8.3, it's actually 8.1, and that'll make sure that our cron job is going to run on the same PHP version as on the previous one, right? As on the FPM. We want the web server and the CLI versions to be aligned. Okay, so now we've got 8.1 and everything's on 8.1. That's great, right? Yep, fine. Let's go to our plugins, check out our plugins, because we've got to update those plugins. Check for available updates. Check for available updates. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. There it is, and there's an available update. What's the available update? Wow, surprise, surprise. It's Collapse Topics, our good old friend. Hello, Collapse Topics, my old friend. And we'll say hello to you again. Yep, and so now we're updating them. Okay. Now we've hit a problem. Look at that. This test must pass. See, now you're getting grumpy. Now you're grumpy with me. Okay, fine. Now you're grumpy. Now you won't let me pass. You shall not pass unless you actually change that. So what do we got to do? We got to change that max input vars to 5,000. or 5,000 and above. So I'm going to do that. Where is that file? Well, remember that we're using Nginx, so we've got PHP in, so it's in the PHP folder. So sudo nano /etc/php. Now, the thing about PHP is that if we come in here, you can see that I've got 7.4 on this server, I've got 7.4, 8.1, and 8.3. It just sticks them all in there, all the config files and everything. We're using 8.1, so we're going to want to go in there. Now, inside this 8.1 folder, there are also additional folders available. There's one for CLI and one for FPM. Now, if you're using Apache, then there should also be an Apache or Apache 2 folder, or maybe it might be HTTPD, but that's where the configuration for that's going to be. So we're using php-fpm, so we want the FPM one, and we want php.ini. That's our configuration file for PHP, right? This is also where you set the different variables. For example, if you want to be able to upload files of greater than 2 megabytes or something like that, because that's what the default is set to. So you've got to change a few things like that in there. Good topic for another video. I think I've already done one on that before. Oh, what the heck. This thing's going to be long anyway. Let's just do them all. You might want to give yourself a bit more max execution time, a max input time as well. Those can be good, especially if you're doing updates through the web interface as opposed to using the CLI for that. Now, this is the one that we want, right? The max input vars down here. This is our problem child right here that the Moodle is telling us about. Max input vars must be at least 5,000. Well, currently it's set to 1,000. And it's not only that, but it's also commented out. So you got to get rid of this semicolon here because that comments it out. And then you've got to make sure it's more than 5,000. So let's make it 10,000. Great. Done. Modern computers, not a big issue. Most plugins in Moodle don't use up that much memory, but sometimes I just like to double that. Memory limit to 256. Just give it a little bit more headroom. Just remember, if you're working on some tight infrastructure and you really have to, memory management is something to be careful about. Don't have your pool settings. Another good topic for another video. Man, this thing. Anyway, the pool settings, if you have too many child processes and they're all using 256 megabytes, you could run into trouble pretty quick because that'll eat your RAM. Okay, further down, if we're looking down, data handling, we're getting there, getting closer. I can feel it. Oh, there we go. So the post max size, this is the maximum size a post request can actually be. So if you want to have, say, let's say we want 100 megabyte uploads to be available, we want to actually change that because that's how the size is going to be. But also there's another thing for it that specifically goes for file uploads, because actually post is not the only way you can upload a file in PHP. So this upload file max file size also exists, so we'd want to make sure that that's at 100 megabyte as well. Once you do those two ones, you can feel safe in the idea that your PHP settings are set to allow you to upload the 100 megabyte file sizes. Right? So that's that done. Are we done yet though? No, we're not done, because now if we go back to the Moodle and we refresh, it'll say the same error. Why does it say the same error? Well, same as with when we did with Nginx, right? We have to sudo systemctl restart, and we want php-fpm. Well, PHP 7.4 FPM. Right? And that changes nothing. Why does it change nothing? Because we're not on PHP 7.4 anymore. We're on PHP 8.1. Remember, the PHP 7.4 server still exists though, so it's actually still running at the moment. But that being done there, now we've got minimum requirements are met. Right? So this is a lot happier to let us continue with our plugin install, and now this upgrade can actually happen, and we pass through. Yay. So happy, except not entirely happy, because at the moment, as I said before, we've got two pools are running right now. See, we got PHP 7.4 and PHP 8.1. They're both running. That sucks. Hey, I don't want that PHP 7.4 running, taking up my system resources and stuff like that. So what I can do is, instead of restarting it, I can stop it. Right, and that kills it. That's it. It's dead. But maybe not forever. If we reboot the server, or some other process decides it wants to start up PHP 7.4, it might come up again. Another way to do it, mask it. Right, now it's really hard to start up because you have to do systemctl unmask PHP 7.4 if you want to be able to start it again. Right, so masking is cool. If you're done with a PHP instance but you're not quite ready to uninstall it yet, try masking it. That masked man. Alright, so anyway, PHP 8.1, good to go. So now we should be able to come in here, do our environment checks, and we should be pretty good to go all the way up to maybe 4.3 now? How about it? 2.2 sub-plugins are still there, so let's go to 4.2 instead. Alright, still 2.2 plugins. You know what? Do I have any reason not to just go to 4.3? I'm just going to go straight to 4.3. So we check one last check as well going around. Do we have any updates for our plugins? Nope, we've got one additional plugin and it is up to date. That is good. We come to general, go to the notifications. Boom, boom, boom. We are good on 4.1. And let's go to 4.3. Okay. Ready for some really fun stuff? You remember earlier I said that this was going to be hard? I did a lot of commands there. Okay, so again, git checkout. Again, of course we're using git because git is awesome. And we're going to go git checkout at 403 stable. Boom, it is done. The code has been changed over to 4.3 stable. And so now let's just hit up one of those upgrade.php things. Yeah, there it is. Okay, jeez. Up arrow. Oh my god, what just happened? PHP fatal error. Cannot override final method core base and things and format topcoll.lib. All right. This is nice. This is actually giving me a message this time. Okay, if you have another version of topcoll, so I wasn't actually expecting this. This is actually a little surprising to me. Wait a minute. Maybe I know why. Let's see. Okay, I was expecting it to tell me nothing. Anyway, see, this is the cool thing about Git, because you can just go straight back. I just went straight back to 4.1. So now I've got my code that is actually working here, and I can actually go and check out what's going on here. I think it's because I've got debugging enabled. Yeah, I got developer set, none, and don't display. Yeah. Okay, so let's turn off our debugging for a second there. Let's try that again, because what I was expecting was no message whatsoever to come up. But actually, this is kind of good because it's the power of debugging, right? I just switched back to 4.03, right? 4.3. And that's what I was expecting, right? So that's the thing. With debugging enabled, topcoll will actually give you a message. And this is the PHP fatal error will actually come out if you have debugging enabled when you're doing the upgrades. Now, I'd kind of forgotten that I meant to turn it off and sabotage myself even more, because this one, it kind of looks like everything's okay, right? It looks like everything's okay, but it's not okay. Seriously, we have not upgraded to 4.3. We didn't see the success. I want my success, right? I have the taste for success. I'm hungry for success. How am I going to fix this? Well, that's the thing. Using Git, the only way to fix this that I know of, really, is you go back to 4.1, right? Your upgrade failed. If it had failed halfway through, this is the time when you delete your database and restore from your dump that you took because you're a good boy and or a girl, and you took a proper database dump backup before you started this process, right? But anyway, this one failed before any of the database got melted, so we can actually come in and do this. And we know what from the debug messages, we actually know what the problem is. The problem is this plugin, Collapse Topics. It's not really all that compatible. But guess what? If I go to my course, yeah, of course, there are now those things. If I come in here, skip to, okay, so this, if I actually change this to the, you know, the new versions in Moodle 4, right? Since Moodle 4.0, you have these, it's different now, right? Everything's all collapsible. So Collapse Topics, love it. More options, but to be honest, I'm not using it anymore because it's sort of been superseded by the default topics format that's in Moodle 4. So anyway, if you are a diehard fan of that stuff, I mean, seriously, Gareth Barnard also, he makes really good stuff. So, and there are ways you can support him. Please consider doing so because he's awesome. And he has made, 4.3 versions and everything like that. I just am not personally using them. But in order to get up, what we would want to do is actually uninstall it once and reinstall it after we have upgraded. So, there's a bit of data. That's an older tab, isn't it? All right, so what we want to do, we want to go to tabs. We found a problematic plugin that's not going to let us upgrade. We can uninstall it right now, right? So we go to our additional plugins and we just click on uninstall. Now, coding error detected, right? Coding error detected. Can uninstall plugins. Now that's a little bit irritating. And now it's saying additional to be installed. Okay, so it looks like it is expecting it to be there and expecting it not to be there. This is looking good, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to move it out of there by hand. So CD, that will be in course theme. No, format. It's a course format plugin, right? So if I go in here, and there it is. It's called topcoll. So I'm going to move topcoll, and I'm going to move it down to /srv/Moodle. I'll just put it in that directory. Oh yeah, sudo me up. All right. Yep, it's gone. Gone skis. Okay, let's go back here and see, will it actually let me do this now? All right, to be installed. Great. I want you to be uninstalled, not installed. Okay, it's installing the update. Downloading it again and reinstalling it again. Okay, I don't want to download it. I want you gone. Okay, everything's going nice and smoothly for me, of course, because this is a video and we wouldn't want to have any. All right, additional plugins. There it is, to be installed. Why is it saying to be installed? Don't be installed. Now that is a bit weird. All right. Well, it's missing anyway. So if it's missing, that means hopefully we can now just go. We'll go down there and let's try it again. Right? We got a problem. A little bit of a naughty plugin. Let's go to 403. And that's what we want. Upgrade, still not working. Okay. Not really okay, but okay. 401. Okay, so this is not actually working the way I expected it to before. Okay, so let's have a look. Uninstall plugins show -contrib. Lovely. I'm gonna do. Whoops, not contrib, but contrib. All right, format topcoll, all right. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so that these, sorry if it's too hard to see, plugins equal, let's see, format, where'd it go? Oh, topcoll, right? All right. This is unscripted. Cannot be uninstalled. Okay. Okay. Course format. Directory is not empty. What? What's going on here? There's a topcoll there. Okay, there's a topcoll there, and what's it doing there? It's just sitting there. Okay. Let's get rid of him. Finish denied, of course. All right. Take that. All right. Anyway, the topcoll code is now missing. So let's see. Will you allow me to upgrade now? All right. It's still showing that it's existing and missing from disk. It's not actually recognizing that it's missing from disk yet. That's kind of weird. All right. I don't know what I did to break that, but these things always go so smoothly for me, don't they? Yeah. Let's go 403. And let's try the upgrade again. Okay, and now, great. We've got over our topcoll issue, it seems. There would be some cleanup required after that. Not going to do that this video. Anyway, max input vars. This old chestnut? Come on, we fixed that, didn't we? Well, we sort of did, but we sort of didn't. You remember when we actually went to the FPM settings? When we did like this? We did the nano of the Etsy PHP 8.1 FPM setting. So the FPM setting has actually been changed to the 10,000, but the PHP-cli command line interface ones, that's a different php-ini file. And we haven't done anything with that one. So fortunately though, this one, there's a lot of stuff we don't actually have to worry about. I mean, it's basically the same file and the same directives and things like that. So we just need to go down to our resource limits and max input time. You can ignore that, right? Because it's hard to go to, you see that a lot of these are hard coded to -1 for the CLI SAPI. Now that -1 basically means unlimited. And so that's why, this is actually one of the reasons why CLI PHP is much more robust for doing things like upgrades, because upgrades can take a long time and this won't time out, but your web browser well and truly will. And you could run into troubles with that. So a lot of these are hard coded to something that's really makes it a lot nicer, right? But the max input vars isn't. So we need to do that one. And of course, you might go further down. Okay, you can see the memory limit, not limited. We are unlimited. And you can see further down, we have the option for, say, file uploads and things like that. I mean, it still exists here, right? So the file upload size is 2 megabytes in this file. We don't care because the web browser does not use the CLI version. The web browser uses php-fpm. So we don't care about that. That's fine. But yeah, as I said also, so I've just changed the max input vars to 10,000. But if you are using Apache, then this would be Apache 2 in here instead of CLI or FPM. Now, the thing is that this being CLI, it's invoked when we actually run the CLI version, so we don't actually have to restart any services. It's just the CLI version, so there it is. And this is allowing me now to upgrade to Moodle 4.3. Let's see, that smell of success. I want success, give me success, and why do I have a feeling it's not going to be completely successful? Yeah, I've come this far. It's what, we're 55 minutes into this video, and this is when it's going to fail. Yeah? No? Maybe? New settings. It has completed successfully. So now we're on 4.3. All right. So now we can go refresh that. And it says, hasn't been run for 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Yeah. Don't care. When you're upgrading, it does block Cron from running. So that's why I don't care. It's not because Cron isn't running. If you see this message saying it has not been run for 4 years, 72 hours, and fix that, all right? Seriously, Cron PHP, it's important, right? Why? Well, Cron PHP, if that's not running, none of your scheduled tasks are running, right? None of these are working. None of these functions are working if your Cron's not working. That's the problem. All right, anyway, going back, another little tangent, right? My Moodle code is now up to date. I can check for additional available updates, and it is up to date. Let's go to that plugins overview. I'm almost scared. Additional plugin 0. It seems like the uninstall actually did work. Anyway, reports. Let's have a look at our performance overview because there may be a few tables in the database. No, database schema check is coming up okay. All right. I am genuinely surprised by that because I was expecting some collapse topics tables to remain, and they don't. Okay, that's cool. Seems like it all worked out in the end. Those are the areas that I might want to check if I had a misbehaving plugin that I didn't think was fully uninstalled properly, which I thought, but apparently not. We're all good. So let's see, in blocks. Seriously? It's seriously gone? Really? There's our blocks here. There's nothing like missing from disk or anything. Yeah, okay. It did disappear. It just gave me weird, I don't know, maybe stuff was cached. Not exactly sure why. I was expecting more trouble, but anyway. That is it. I'll do the purge of caches. And doing a purge of caches is not a bad idea either because guess what? Sometimes old code can be cached and it can cause a few things to be buggy until caches are cleared. It's the clash of the caches. Yeah. Okay. Blocks. Let's just do one more lap down here. Yep, I see no problems now. This is beautiful. This is just functioning. Everything seems to be checking out. All right, so that's how you get all the way up from 3.8 to 4.3.2, which is the latest build of Moodle. And of course, thereafter, you need to update. You just git pull, and boom, that'll get you up to date. And it's already up to date because hey, we just updated. Okay, so yeah, a lot of topics we were talking about with the topics as well. Please keep an eye out because sometime soon, that the command that I was using for uninstall plugins, there are a few nice little tricks that you can actually do to check that out, to use that to solve a few different kinds of problems. So I do plan on actually doing a video on that topic very soon. I'll probably do another one about cron.php soon and a few of those other things that I've brought up today as well, because hey, they pop up, then I feel like, I want to do a video on that. But I don't want to make this one any longer because we're already in an hour. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. And if you've stayed this long, you must really love Moodle. That's awesome. I'll talk to you again in the next one. So thanks and catch you next time.